What's going on, everybody? 2024, season 4, episode 1. How's everybody doing, man? How was your new year? Yeah, we back. Went to Switzerland, came back again, grounded in the new year. Got Tony over here with me, man. And we kicking the year off, man. We're gonna start this year off. The whole premise of this year, my New Year's resolution, is getting back to the roots, getting back to centerness, getting back into what got me here. And that's kind of, what Tony and I have been really talking about, man, is really just getting back into where where your confidence was at, where your centeredness is at, where you knew you lost it at. When you lose some, you kind of retrace your steps back, you know what I mean, to where you knew that you had the item at, and then you try to move forward from there. And sometimes we get off our path and we got to do the same thing. We got to kind of just retrace our steps back to where we knew that we had control, and then just figuring out where we lost that control at. So
It's funny that you're talking about that too, it being the beginning of the year, like a New Year's resolution type of thing. But no, this ain't New Year's resolution. This is new life resolution.
absolutely, man, and really just sticking with it. A lot of people make these resolutions, man, and then they get into the thick of things and find out that it's a little bit more than what it was. And I always go, I love going back to, remember them old kung fu movies, T, the old monk, and the
Oh yeah.
people would always want to go there and try to learn some kung fu, expect that the monk is just gonna just stop what he's doing and teach these people this trade that he's been learning his whole life. Life don't work that way.
Right.
Life is going to test you and make sure that you're ready for these blessings that it's about to give you.
Right.
Because if not, you're not going to appreciate the blessings. And then life's going to just be like, man, listen, you're a waste of my time.
Yeah, you're gonna pilfer those blessings. That's what's gonna happen. You ain't gonna be ready for them. It's like if you get a big scoop of soup in a cup, you ain't
Yeah,
gonna be able to hold all that, man. You're gonna burn your fingers. You're gonna drop the shit on the floor. You know.
trying to be greedy.
Right. Trying to get more than what you're ready for. Yeah. Bite off more than you could chew.
Bite off more than you can chew. And people don't get it, man. They don't understand, you know, what that really means, and this is how we get in this, as we say in prison, this is why the graveyards are full.
Mm-hmm.
People biting off more than they can chew, you know but yeah, man, you stayed here at the office for a couple weeks by yourself. I was over there in Switzerland sending pictures over and whatnot, man. We had a couple conversations about, just how maybe it inspired you a little.
Well, I mean, I've been going through some rough stuff as you know, I'm in the Inside Out program with you. And I've been going through some rough stuff the last year and a half or so. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to keep it together. And it just, you know, uh, where I made the mistake is that I took on more responsibility than I was ready for. Isn't that ironic? Um, because what it was is, I had a falling out with my ex. We had a business, we had a house, everything that we built for 5 years is gone. One fell swoop. I made a mistake. It ended up hurting me more than I ever thought it was gonna, and so now I had to rebuild. I have to recoup, and ended up being in the interim that I picked up a girlfriend, and I kind of adopted my 40-year-old brother that didn't have nowhere to go, and after 10 years gets evicted out of his house. And I wasn't ready for all that. You know what I mean? And then it was like during that time, I ended up getting into a car accident and I lost my vehicle, and it kind of screwed all three of us. You know what I mean? Because,
do you think
circumstances.
do you think this relationship that you got in, do you think this is what they like, a bounce back? You think you just jumped straight back into a relationship when you weren't even ready for it?
So, what's funny about this woman, and I'm not a cheater. So, let me say that. Let me caveat that by saying that I'm not a cheater. But when I was with my ex, I knew probably 8, 10 months before it was over that it was over. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, it had kind of been building to that. And I wasn't really looking for nobody, but I noticed the one that I'm with now. I noticed her a couple times on the internet, you know what I mean? And I seen her pictures and stuff like that. She kind of just stuck with me, you know what I mean? Um, After all this was said and done, and I was single, I waited probably 2 months, 3 months before I even asked anybody about her or any of that stuff. And then after we met each other, it kind of went. So, do I think that it was a bounce back? Uh, I'm not really sure. I can tell you that I feel more like she was a light in a dark time. I just needed some type of support, I guess, because of the way the situation went down. You know, I think I needed um, somebody, you know, that felt a certain way about me intimately to basically let me know that it was okay and that I didn't fuck up. You know, that I wasn't a bad person, I wasn't a monster. You know what I mean? Um, so I guess you can say it kind of started out as me using her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To kind of help me to get over whatever it was that I was just going through.
Mm-hmm.
Attach myself to somebody else for strength during a dark time, I guess you could say. Uh, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a
No,
toxic
I'm no.
thing.
I mean, it's
You know what I mean?
it's definitely a toxic thing, but it's normal. And I did the same thing coming home from incarceration as well. Even though that I knew that I was coming home confident in myself, I still lacked confidence in my integration, I guess you would say. And
Right.
it was me getting into that relationship with that woman, and that's what I was doing, is I was using her as kind of a shield or a mask, as that for that integration, instead of me embracing my integration full on. You know what I mean? I still try to hide from it through her in this relationship, and of course it turned out toxic because it was a toxic beginning,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
knew that. And the whole way through I'm trying to really kind of work through that, you know what I mean, and try to fix it, and these things. But it, again, you get into the lies, you get into the deceit and whatnot. But you know it just created a toxic situation, and that's what's going to happen every time. That's why I choose not to lie, manipulate, or deceive going into a relationship. And this is why I won't go into a relationship right now, because I just know that I'm not ready for a relationship.
Um, Mentally, I don't think I was. I think that I was okay. I think that I was, like I said, I kind of separated myself or kind of, um, before it actually happened, I kind of knew that it was coming to an end. You understand what I'm saying? So I kind of already started to um, separate myself. I guess you could say. I kind of, you know what I mean. It sounds shitty, but you don't understand like how much I went through to try to say. I mean, dude, it got to the point with my ex where we couldn't even talk to each other. We'd send videos back and forth from like TikTok and YouTube and shit like that. That's how bad it was. You know what I mean? And that, I mean, what else can you say at that time? It's so bad you can't even talk to each other without it just, you know what I mean? And then when we actually did talk to each other, look what happened. It came to blows, you know. And it's like I sit here and I tell myself, that's the consequences of me continuing to be in a situation that I knew that wasn't any good for me. And how many times can we look back in our lives and say, "Gosh, I wish I would have got out when I could." You know what I mean? As soon as I knew I was up shit's creek, You know what I mean? I should have, you know what I mean? And there were so many nights. If me and you would have been talking at that time and we knew each other, I possibly, probably could have got out of there unscathed. You know what I mean? I possibly could have got away for a night or two, and I would have been able to maybe level out a little bit and maybe do something about it. But at the same time, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Um, I don't think that that was my final destination by any means. I think that's kind of why it went the way that it did. Um, I'm here now, trying to like fix all that stuff. Um,
Well, that's why I say, I mean, the only thing that matters is the next choice, because the next
right,
choice can change everything.
right,
But it's like you and I have had these talks, and it's just right or wrong, make a decision and move forward with it. Stick by it. Don't backtrack, just stick with the decision and move through it. And just get out on the other side, and that's what a lot of us do. Is I think we get into the position where we kind of get scared to make a decision and stand by it because we don't know which way to go. You don't know which path is right, but that's where the confidence of self comes in to say it doesn't matter which way the path is because I can walk either one.
right,
But I'm gonna walk one of these because I've been at this fork long enough now and it's driving me nuts.
right. Keep walking around in circles trying to figure out which way you want to go. You know, you're gonna watch your life. After a while, all you're gonna do is dig a hole,
Yeah,
your own
exactly.
hole, your own hole.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And meanwhile, these other people that you're sitting here pacing over is enjoying their life.
Right, standing above you, laughing at you. You know what I mean? Maybe
Either
not
way,
laughing at you, but still standing there, just watching you toil. You know what I
sure.
mean? Because they
Sometimes,
definitely not lending a hand. And seeing that's the point. That's exactly the point. Because when you're in those times, people that love you, people that celebrate you, or whatever else that see value in you will be the ones telling you, hey, man, this is the path for you. This is the path for you, man. You need to stop doing that and you need to pick one of them. You know what I mean? Either way, um, it's the people that just stand there and wait for you to fuck up that are the people that don't care about you. You know what I mean? When they don't support you, when they don't care to speak to you, when they don't care, and when they know you, when they know your character, and they know who you are, and they know how you love, and they know how you move, and it's like they go out of their way to not um, vibe with you. That's not your people. And believe me, your people are out there.
well, absolutely. That gets into what we were talking about the one day about, one of the hardest things for me, T, was to embrace that right there, those type of people, because I was so used to that toxic lifestyle, that negative lifestyle. So to the point to where when positive people are around me, I'm sitting there telling myself, like, man, these people are lames. You know what I mean? Like all that goody stuff and that optimism and all this stuff. Like these people don't know reality. These people are lame and clown. I used to down talk anybody that was just a positive person because it was so uncomfortable for me to be in that positive environment. You know what I mean? So it was understanding that I had to allow myself to be uncomfortable. And these are one of the things that we have to do is force ourselves to be uncomfortable. Is stop living in that comfortable little safety net that we've put ourselves in and step out into that uncomfortableness with that confidence to know that, man, what's the worst that can happen?
Right. You know what the worst is that could happen? You never found out. You know what I mean? You never even tried. That's the worst that could happen.
That's that FOMO. That's what we call that FOMO, fear of missing out. And that fear of missing out will have you cleaning out your bank account. You know what I mean? That fear of missing out will have you doing some egregious things with your life, man, because it's always that fear of missing out. And I know because getting into the stocks without having true experience in it, That's what I do. And that's how I lost so much money in stocks, because it was the fear of missing out.
Right.
Stayed in
Well,
too long. My entry was wrong. My exit was wrong, because it was all based upon me missing out on the $1 million hit.
right. Yeah, and that's what happens. It's like in both of our relationships, as an example. Um, we stuck around because we were like, well, hope. Hope had us sticking around. You can call it FOMO, but at the same time, I think sometimes FOMO can be, um, you're going to miss out on the negative, not just the positive. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you might already feel bad or whatever else, but you don't want to miss out on the revenge part. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to miss out on the part where whoever or whatever stumbles or gets fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because people will stay around, toxicity or whatever else just to see that happen too. You know what I mean? See you hang yourself. You know. Um, but I think, like in the situation I'm in, I think that's a lot of the reason why I stick around, because I feel like maybe I'm just kind of mentally, all over the place right now, and so it's like I want to stick around because, or I want her to stick around because I feel maybe it'll be different one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, after I get uh, back on top of the stuff that I'm no longer on top of.
Yeah, painted a fantasy in your head of what life could be like,
Hmm.
but it's not a reality. And I think maybe that's what's going on inside of your head, is you're trying to create this fantasy that you've created, because in your mind you're like, this is what I've always wanted. And you got this lady that I don't think really kind of agrees with your fantasy.
No, she don't, because I don't want to. I don't want to live here forever. You know what I mean? This is okay area, but I don't want to live here forever. I'd rather be somewhere else. I'd rather have some land somewhere. You know what I mean? She don't want to do none of that because she don't want to be too far away from her kids. And then at the same time, she's gonna remain married to this dude because she doesn't want to miss out when he dies, getting her little piece of money or whatever else that she's gonna get. You know what I mean, for being married to this dude. So it's like that right there tells you that she has no, you know, what it says is that there's no room for me in her future because it's already mapped out. You know what I mean?
That's horrible. Just sitting around waiting for somebody to die so you can get a little bit of their money.
Well, I mean, I understand it. She was married to the dude. She spit out three of his kids. You know what I mean? And then when she thought everything was fine and dandy, and even if she didn't, he's across the street. And so I understand that. Hey, you put your time in. And you don't want to miss out on what you put your time in for. And it's not like I know it sounds bad, but at the same time, I can empathize with that.
Well, in a sense, but I can promise you, you would gain so much more by just cutting your
moving the
losses.
fuck right, moving the fuck on.
You know what I mean? This is what people have to understand, is when to cut your losses and get on with your life and just build for yourself versus just trying to hang on for whatever reason, because
Right.
look what this person's going through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then look what you're going through, and you're wrapped up all in, and just look at, as we were saying earlier, the bird's eye view. Just look at the whole situation
Mhm.
and look at the odds of winning in that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a hustler, and I always look at the odds. What's my odds of winning here?
I've already pretty much figured, man. That's why this is the reason why this shit breaks my heart so much. Because I do have genuine feelings for her, and I feel like she has genuine feelings for me too. But I also feel like I'm not the only one she has genuine feelings for.
Hmm.
I feel like she's still in love with her husband, but at the same time, her body won't let her forgive herself, or her mind won't let her forgive herself if she gives in to that energy, because she
And
she
she,
feels betrayed. You know what I mean?
yeah, and she may be just using you to punish the hell out of her husband.
True. And it's probably not just me. You know what I mean? Because the thing is now she's using her looks to, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm sure it was something that he expressed too. Oh, my beautiful wife, my this, my that, so on and so forth. So now she's like, well, now you're an asshole because now you see all these dudes out here that I could have been fucking the whole time we were together, but I didn't. You know
Now
what I
shit, I'ma
mean?
let loose.
Now I'm gonna let loose. You know what I mean? And then you see this me come walking in, and that's and right. Well, the thing is that she's getting from me exactly what she wants. Hit right in her guts, where she's over there just telling him all fucking day. You know what I mean? Just doing exactly what she wants me to do, like a fucking puppet, man. You know what I mean? Like a fucking puppet, and it's just, you know,
So
I don't want to I don't want to think like that, but at the end of the day, I'm starting to get to the point to be like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm the dude walking in fucking circles, wondering about what's going to happen when she's pretty much already told me, she's not going to get divorced. So this is obviously going to be something that I'm have to fucking deal with, and I'll be 44 in May. I'm almost a half a fucking century old, man. You know what I mean? And I'm looking to settle down. I'm looking to be with somebody that wants to be with me as much as I want to be with them. And they don't have no fucking excuses. They don't got no other things in their lives that's going to pull me away from them, because the way I look at it is, in the next 20 years I'm getting ready to die. I don't need my woman or my significant other worrying about anybody else's death, because I'm not worrying about anybody else's death or anybody else's last years or any of that bullshit. I'm trying to pour in to whoever I'm with, because, like I said, I don't have much time left, and that's what I want out of life. So it's like, where I'm at now is like, if that's not what you want to do, if you're not willing to pour the rest of whatever it is that you have in your heart into me, into this relationship, then it ain't for me. It ain't for me. If that's too much of a tall order for you, you know.
well, I mean that's exactly how I looked at it coming out of prison, but it's like we I mean we our lives really kind of ran a linear path, but it's like we just made different decisions where I kind of went internal, you just went more external, and it's like when I came home and I'm sitting there thinking the same way, like, man, I've spent half my life trying to please people, trying to get people to respect me, trying just to make friends. Because really, ultimately, that's all I was really just trying to do was just have friends. You know what I mean? So it was like, man, bump that stuff now.
Right. Now,
Bump that.
what do you mean by internal and external?
Where me, when I say that I went more internal, was I cut more people off and just started doing my own thing and keeping people at an arm's length, where
Right.
you were still reaching out, still trying to get your inspiration and motivation, things like that, from other people, whether a relationship or wherever it was. Because
Well,
without
I, you're right to a certain extent, but you have to understand something first and foremost. Is when I got out, I had two children that I've never met. You know what I mean? So for me, any way for me to be there, any way for me to make up time in that situation, it was where I was at that time. So yeah, I cut everybody else off that didn't have something to do with that situation. You know what I mean? Which I found out later was folly, because I ended up being in a situation where I needed help. You know what I mean? Because she ultimately, the grandmother of my kids, ultimately put me out on my ass while I was out of town. You know what I mean? So, um, it ended up being that it didn't really matter at that time, like what it was that I was trying to do and how I was going about it. I definitely had a game plan, like you did. And like you said, I did the same thing. I was scared to death when I got out of prison that I was going to run into somebody that I knew, and then I was going to end up back in the same shit that I was in before. That's why when you look on Facebook, when you look me up on Facebook, when you look me up on Instagram and all that stuff, I don't go by Anthony Christian. I go by Anthony Keith, because most people don't even know my middle name, you know. Um,
Well, that's what I had to do the same thing coming home with my daughter. And that's where my experience with that comes in at with returning citizens, because we're set up to fail a lot when we're coming home, because there's so many expectations that's put into this child that, well, when your daddy comes home, he's going to do this. When your daddy comes home, he's going to do that. And there's a bar set for us that we have to now achieve these things that has been put in this child's head all these years that we've been incarcerated. Because again, a child is a child, and they're going to come with their own fantasies and sit around and dream about their daddy and all of this stuff from what these people are telling them. So we got to now come home and fulfill these fantasies. And if we can't, you know what I mean? Because the reality is we've been gone for a decade or more.
yeah. And these people, most of the time, these people don't know you anyway. You didn't
No, of
even know
course not.
you. Obviously, you were in some shit where you were acting outside of whoever you were at that time. At least for me, I was a drug addict. I was going state to state with dope just so I could pay for my drug habit. You know what I mean? Obviously, you had something else going on, but it don't matter because obviously, also neither one of those people at that time were ultimately who we ended up being in the end, right? So nobody really knew who we were, and then we went through a major transformation while we were in anyway, so you came out and you were different.
That's
And
right.
you just the only thing was is that your unknowing, ignorant ass had never put any of the things that you dreamt of or thought of while you were in prison to be a more righteous person, had you put into practice. You know what I mean?
Right. It was all new. It's all new territory.
Right. Right.
You know,
And so when it's easy territory, it's easy to fuck up. You know what I mean? Because neither one of us had been down that road, leading a righteous life,
right. You
you
don't know
know.
what you don't know. But that's it. So, you got these situations, and yeah, I fell into that too with that relationship, but ultimately it just led into me coming into the realization that I knew that I could do it. And it just started putting me in rooms and situations to, like going back to the top of the conversation where, I'm going to Switzerland now. And like on this last trip, man, it was again me going over there is so grounding in that aspect because it just recenters me from America. Like there's so much pressure on us here in America. We have no idea until you leave from that pressure. But like, we talked about earlier, it's getting away from the tourist aspects, getting away from the America part of it so that you can then take a bird's eye view of what's really going on. And it gives me a whole new appreciation for life, a whole new appreciation for America, our constitution, our rights, our laws. This is why I refuse to break another law, because I now understand the value in those laws, at
Right.
least the Bill of Rights, the founding constitution, and what it meant. Because when I go over there and I see these individuals, how they don't have that freedom of speech like we do. They don't have the courage to just speak out and voice their opinions. And they're up under our true democracy. This is why I refuse to say that America is a democracy, because we are not. We're a republic. But being up under that democracy, it's majority rules, majority vote. And if you're not within that majority, you have no say. You're just to sit there, smile, and shut up because nobody agrees with you.
Mm.
And so it's a whole different way of life. It's unexplainable. You have to experience it.
Right.
And for these individuals that sit here and say how they hate America, they leave the country. Leave. You hate it, leave. And I promise you, when you do, and you stay 2 weeks or more in another country, you're gonna say, you know what, I'm ready to go back to America. Just as I am. As beautiful as Switzerland was, and you see how gracious my host is, right? With the pictures that I'm putting on Facebook and all of this, you see what I have over there when I go. And still after 2 weeks, I'm ready to come back home. I love America. I love the people. I love America. I'm an American.
Mhm. Yeah, this is where you came from. So this is home. When you're out and you're traveling and you're going on vacation and all that stuff, and it doesn't even matter. Even when you're going to work, what do you long for? You go to your mom's house, even though you grew up there. Your parents' house, even though you grew up there. That's not home. Yeah, you can be comfortable, but only so. You know what I mean? So it's like when you're over there in Switzerland, yeah, it's obviously you got to take it all in. You can't just take some of it in. And when you take it all in, it makes you homesick. Because it's not the same. But at the same time, it's good because it's an eye opener. You know what I mean? What it really does is it makes you hunger for wanting to go and check out other places and see how their shit is. You know what I mean? What the general consensus with the
Right.
citizenship is. You know what I mean?
The different cultures and such, but it's listener, you have to understand that, I wasn't in Zurich. I wasn't in the main city, the tourist part. I was in the country, like the hillbilly country, as we call it here, like the rednecks. You know what I mean? And it's knowing that there's no Americans there. I'm going into a pub that hardly any Americans go in. They don't even speak English. They speak German. You know what I mean? So a German Swiss mix. So it's understanding that me coming in now as an American, I first time I walk in, I got my big leathered coat on and stuff, and it's knowing that I stick out like a sore thumb, that I'm not welcome in this pub, and they made it known. I mean, it's of course there wasn't no hostility or nothing like that, but it's still the fact that I was acknowledged coming in, and that was it. Nobody waved or said hi or anything. It was just a tourist coming in through the town, and he'll be here for a little bit and then he'll be gone and we won't see him no more, kind of thing.
Right.
But we're gonna run another episode on that, really, because we've already come into this 45 minutes. But I want to set the tone on that, and then we'll touch on that again. But I have some conversations that I want to play that are from these individuals, man, from this pub, and they lay it out on the line about how they feel about America, what they
Right.
see, how they feel, and their thoughts. And it's not good. It's not positive. You
Well,
know,
because it's not the same. It's the same thing if they were to come here. They'd be here, they'd be cool with the nostalgia of a lot of the stuff that's going on here. Hey, Coca-Cola, Pepsi Cola, Jif peanut butter, you know what I'm saying? The freedom that you have, amusement parks, so on and so forth. Stuff that they don't see, the way that we live, the way that we eat, the way that we communicate or commute. You go over there, it's different. Why? Because their life is a lot more linear, in that they have a better understanding of what they're here to do. You know what I mean? And that's what they want to do. They're interested in doing what most other people do. You come here, you forge a life that you can be proud of. You don't have to be the richest person in the world. You just have to be able to take care of you and yours. Hopefully, you find somebody that you can spend your life with, do your thing, raise your kids, and go. That's it. Here in America, people have been, it's like they want to be here forever and they want to try everything, and they feel like they're entitled to it.
mm,
Nobody wants to just pick one thing and just stay in their own lane, if you will, you know. And I think that's why a lot of things gets like lost in translation and stuff like that in the United States, because it's just like racism, for instance. It's some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You know what I mean? But people stay on it all the time. All the time, man. It's like, oh, you know, it,
yeah, people don't want to come out of it. They don't like change, or they been raised to believe a certain thing, and then to acknowledge the fact that it's just completely ignorant is something that they don't want to acknowledge. So they'd rather try to justify it in some means, to protect their so-called education. You
well, it's
know,
an avenue. It's an avenue to vent. When you're sitting there and you're white
absolutely.
you're black or you're Mexican, and you're just, you're feeling your oats or whatever one day, and you just be like, oh, that such and so, no good, this and that. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's a way for you to, and that's why I think in a lot of instances, people don't, you know, people cope however they cope. You know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're racist. It just means that you're, you know, just throwing it out there, just exploding, and just don't really care what you're aiming at. You know
Well,
what I mean?
one thing I learned, man, and I learned pretty quickly was that a lot of what most people say are self projection.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's when somebody's sitting there yelling at you, it's really kind of like how they see themselves. You know, and
Right.
it's because again, you only know what you know, so we can only speak on our experiences, our perception. So if I see something in somebody, that means I've seen it in myself. I know it. That's how I know it in you. So it's just a lot of self projection out there. This is really kind of what got me into the mode to where I can just walk a line, my line, and not care about what anybody thinks, good or bad, because I understand it's only your perception that you're seeing.
Right. Well, if you say it, it's like if you sit and you smell all the roses, you're gonna stop appreciating the roses. You know what I mean? In that situation, it's like, if you sit and you listen
Right.
to everything that everybody has to say about you all the time, you know what I mean? Then it's like you're not going to be.
It's a dangerous path. It can take you down many paths, but just like what you're saying about all the roses, this is what I say about, the rain and the sun. If without the rain, you would never appreciate the sun. If it was sun all the time, you wouldn't even acknowledge the sun anymore.
Right.
You have to have the rain and the cold to say, man, where's that sun at? I miss the sun. I love the sun.
Right. No
So
love
it's
without pain, right?
and it's just all about embracing. And that's what got me to where I'm at is just embracing things as they come and having the confidence to know that I can handle and walk. And it landed me in Switzerland, walking into a pub where, again, me coming in as an American just isn't welcome,
Right.
but it's, and just having the confidence in myself, you know what I mean? To know that I'm cool wherever I'm at. It's the same premise as being in prison.
Right.
Walking in prison and being around people that have murdered other human beings, and they're doing everything they can to look through you and intimidate you to see, where you're at,
Right. What you're made of, yeah.
what you're made of, and it's just knowing like, man, I'm made of steel, partner, and you
Right.
can come test me if you want to. And it's knowing that. And I think what allows that to come in is when you embrace death, right? When you're able to embrace death and say, you know what, I'm willing to die before I allow somebody to rape me or anything of that fashion. I think once that occurs, then it doesn't matter because now in your mind you know that you're willing to fight to the death.
Right.
And not many people are willing to go there. You find that out pretty quickly, that most people are barkers. You find that out. Most people think that when you get into a fight, they're just going to throw a couple punches to the face and, whatever. But when you have somebody that's really fighting for their life, this person's going to try to rip your throat out, gouge your eyes out, get a hold of a limb, try to rip it off, break it.
Yeah, it's getting rid of a problem, you know. Because if you only go in and you do surface shit to a problem, the problem still's there. But now you made the problem worse because now they want to get back at you even more. You know what I mean? So you have to decimate the problem.
One of the 48 laws of power.
Right. It
Completely
is.
obliviate
Right.
your enemy. So yeah, man, I mean, there was a great conversation, man. We got into, again, relationships, which is always a heavy conversation, heavy topic. A lot of people are going through a lot of what we talked about, man. And I pray that our words were able to maybe help some people through that, maybe see some things.
Right.
Because of that's what these talks are about. And at the end of the day,
Mm.
we expose our traumas, we expose our experiences ultimately to help somebody not go down these paths, because again, they're such tumultuous paths. You lose so much, you hurt so many people, and it's never about really hurting somebody, man. But then you just you end up doing so much that relationships can't be repaired, friendships can't be repaired. And even though that I've had a lot of animosity in a lot of relationships, I would always want to maintain some sort of friendship with these people, because usually that's where we started off, as is with friends, and everything was beautiful in them times. It just went left, but at the end of the day, it's just doesn't make us bad humans, doesn't make them bad humans. It's just that it was just a toxic situation.
Yeah.
And it's all about just forgiving it, moving forward, and making the best out of your life.
Yep.
Because like you said earlier, like we're middle aged, man, and we see people dropping off at 52. These people feeding us fake meat and got who knows what up in the skies, you know what I mean? And they're trying to hit you with jabs. And like, you don't know when life is gonna end.
It could be tomorrow.
It could be tomorrow. And do you want your last day to be on Facebook running behind some woman?
And right now, I'm just not even really interested anymore. You know what I mean? As time goes by, and like it's not even like before. It was like months would go by, and I'd be like, "Fuck," you know what I mean? And then I change a little bit, and you know what I mean. My resentment would grow, but I would, you know what I mean? Like, okay, well now I have to deal with it this way, and then then it turned into where okay, now it's weeks, and now it's like turning into seconds. You know what I mean? Like I'm just this is how much time I got left. This is how much in my what do they call those with the sand in it?
Yeah. The stand timer,
Yeah.
sand dial,
No, it's
stand pyramid,
no, it's fuck. It doesn't matter.
stand
Either
timer.
way, right. Either way, this sand's about to run out on this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because and she doesn't even realize it. And I'm to the point where it just doesn't even matter no more. You know what I mean? I'm so on to other shit right now. You know what I mean? I'm just sick and tired of. I know you've heard it a couple fucking times.
And on that note, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Make sure to check out cominghomecoalition.com. Check out what we're going. As you heard Tony mention, Project Inside Out. So we're gonna be running a little bit here and there, man, and doing some shows, getting some thoughts. And as you see, Tony's done, man. Look at him over there.
You want to put this on a battery or something, man?
Y'all take care, man. Stay safe.